All right.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
It's been
A while?
actually, technically, I think it's been almost a year since we posted a podcast episode.
Yeah.
I think we stopped in March.
Yeah, a few things have changed.
Only a couple.
Just a couple, but we're in a studio now.
Yeah. I was going to say, besides our setup, a lot of things. Only a couple things have changed.
Yeah.
So catch us up. You have the new studio. We're in the new studio, I guess. What have you been doing in the studio since you?
So I took over the studio and I did a lot of upgrades to it from the previous owner. I added a bunch of lights and stuff. It has a cyc wall in there, which is kind of like an infinity white wall, which you already know that. But I've just been trying to put as many cool features as I possibly can in here because clients rent this out and I want them to have a unique experience. Like, yeah, you could do your mini sessions in here if you want just the white look, or you could go crazy and do some really experimental lighting with some of the stuff that I've put in here. And along with the wall, I've got this podcast studio, which I'm doing my best because I'm switching this from the Stream Deck. But anyway,
we are videographers. We cut our own podcast.
Yeah, but it's kind of a customizable set. So people, if they want to try their hand at podcasting, they can do that and not have the limitations of equipment, knowledge, the stuff that holds people back. That was like the vision, is that you walk in, do your thing, and you walk out with a product. So
that's the thing I've been using to, like, I guess, promote in a way the studio so much, as I try to explain to people in the best way I possibly can that this is a studio that if you know nothing other than which button to push on your camera, you can come into this studio in all the different spots and create things like you never even knew were possible because you weren't confident in your other abilities that go into creating, taking photos and making videos or podcast.
Yeah.
I get hit up. We've talked about this so many times. I get hit up. I'm sure you do. I know you do, about like people wanting to start a podcast because everybody has a podcast and they want to do video too so they can promote on social media and stuff, but they don't know anything about cameras or taking video or editing video or anything. And I try to explain like how simple it is to use this space to come in and just sit down, yap for a little bit, and then get out of here with a file ready to go. And all of a sudden you're a professional podcaster, like,
yeah,
with high quality video as well as high quality audio, because we can all buy a cheap microphone on Amazon and record in our house. That's all you really need to do a podcast. But if you want that elevated multicam video for your podcast, there's literally no like less expensive place you're gonna get that done than here. There's literally no better spot. And that even goes for where the cyc wall is. I know a lot of people, I have a lot of photographer friends of all different skill levels, and there's not anywhere else around here that you can go and just walk in with your camera and make these high level, perfectly lit, and even then like getting into, special effect style stuff with no equipment of your own.
Yeah. No, like you nailed it. I mean, people when people know that I do video and stuff, they're like, "Oh, I want to do podcasts," and I think, okay, just audio, like $400. You got a nice mixer, 3 microphones, you're good to go. But like, no, I want to do camera stuff. I want video, and I want multiple cameras. That is not easy. That is not normal. People do not have the 3 good cameras and all the stuff to combine it. And then, do you know how to edit? Or you don't? Well, you got to learn. So I totally eliminated that with the podcast stuff. And I'll go ahead and say right now, so it's $75 an hour. That's a pretty good deal, And I have people using the studio for podcasts, but also to get content for social. Mm-hmm. They'll sit down and in a podcast style, they'll talk with experts in the field that they're interested in, and then they'll cut that up for social. Mm-hmm. So it's like it's a really good value. And then on the other side, where I have the white wall, I've kind of realized that you touched on there's people of different levels of what they're, where they're at in their journey, right? I've kind of figured out that I think that the studio should be kind of a hub for the community to learn and to grow. Mm-hmm. And I did that.
Absolutely.
We had a lighting class. You came, and
it was super fun.
Oh, thanks.
It was really fun. I think everybody enjoyed that. That was like super fun. I even learning a lot, but then also we were all chatting with each other, introducing ourselves to people we didn't know, and like we even like all followed each other. It was super cute, led by me. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I think everybody. I don't think there was anybody there that didn't A, enjoy it, and B, learn something.
Yeah, and that's what, like, so teaching the class, that's my first time ever teaching anything. And honestly, my favorite part, like, the teaching was great, but was seeing everybody, having conversations about stuff, trying things out. One of the points that I made in the class is I had a bunch of, like, add-on creative filters that the way that I like to learn is hands-on. So I was like, hey, y'all guys, we got this model, Miss Winterville, Raven. She did an excellent job. And she hung out there with the lights on her. And while they were able to, and you were even able to play around with all these add-ons that I have at the studio. Mm-hmm. And I've kind of figured out, like, people, they want to touch things. They want to get their hands on stuff and try it in the real world. And I'm down to have a classes, have whatever, to get people in here to do that.
Yeah. And I feel like it gave you the opportunity to really showcase, and we've talked about this so many times where we know the awesome, like the crazy things you're doing in here. We see it, and like we can envision what you can do with it or whatever. Where there's a lot of people in the community that A, like, didn't really know about the space, and then B, don't know the extent of what you're doing, and maybe even because they're not familiar with or have the same skill level, they can't even really picture what they could do with the stuff here. So I feel like the lighting class also gave you a chance to show people, like, get their ideas and their creativity moving, like, oh, I could do this with that. I could, wow, like, it works that way. Like, and I think it got people excited to want to come back for their own creative stuff.
And that's what I wanted is, like, people ask about the studio. I tell them, like, just come by. Just come by. Let me show you what this is, what it can do, what you can create in here. Because I'm just showing you what I'm able to create. I want people to take my little bit that I show them and do their own thing and make and that's probably the most rewarding part to me, is seeing people do their own thing in here. I'm just in here a lot because I own it, and I want to start giving people ideas of different lighting techniques so they could take it and run.
Yeah, I have fun. I mean, we make a lot of cool. I don't think we've ever made something here that's not cool. Mm-hmm. And then even I see on the social media, just like so many more people tagging, like, so the story posts on 1413 are always just a bunch of different people doing completely different things. And I think that's a real testament to show, like, all the ends of the spectrum of, like, what can be done in there. And this is just the beginning of it. There's so much more coming. I don't know. It's exciting. I think that's the most exciting thing that's happened in since our last podcast.
It's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what else could happen that would be a bigger deal.
I can't think of anything. I think this has, like, been the biggest thing. It's crazy too, just to think. I remember the conversation of, like, it being a possibility and kind of, like, hinting, like, and weighing the pros and cons to, like, now where it's not only fully functioning, but it's really coming to life as what you wanted it to be. Yeah. And then now we're at the stage where you're seeing people use the things that you had a vision for, which is pretty cool.
Pretty awesome. Well, thanks, Sam.
You're welcome.
All right, what have you been up to?
The same old stuff. What was I doing the last time we? I don't remember. I did tour.
Oh, how long? How long was the tour?
2 weeks. I did a 2-week stint on tour around in this eastern area, and it was awesome. I really, really enjoyed it. I joke to my friends, it kind of pulled me out of reality. It's so on the go, and like you, especially traveling to different places. So the shows are usually at night, right? And then and that's when I'm capturing all the content, and then you have to edit it to be ready to post ready for a post the next morning. So you're trying to like sleep and get everything edited just a little bit so you can get up in the morning to drive to the next place, just long enough to either nap before the show or like get some food before the show.
Were you like sleeping in hotels or in a car, or what were you doing?
A mixture of both, because I actually had some weird stuff going on with my house at the time. So I was in hotels for certain places. I stayed at home a couple nights for the ones that were within 2 hours of where I lived. And then I did sleep at a rest stop one night, edited all content at that same rest stop. It was definitely a mixture. I just remember, this is crazy. It was in, I think, July, and the 2 weeks were so insane that the week that I came back to like my regular life, for some reason I got trapped in this thing thinking it was February. And I don't know how, like I didn't come out of it until
Why?
I don't know, but I remember thinking for like days, thinking about how like rent was, I don't know. It was something to do with like paying something. And I was like, I kept telling myself like February is a shorter month. Month. And then I remember I was going to lessons, and I had an epiphany and realized like it's July.
That's what I was about to say. I was like, you're leaving out that this wasn't like a few weeks ago.
No, it was July. And I was like, all of a sudden, like in my car on the drive was like, why am I thinking it's February? Mm-hmm. It's like July. And I got to lessons, and I told my friends about it. I was like, I just realized today that it's July and not February. Mm-hmm. And it was because like when you're doing stuff like that, like little tour stints like that, and you're just, all of your energy is everything, your whole brain and everything is just on getting to the next show, and the turnaround is so fast and you have to be where you need to be. I think it pulls you out of your regular life. And so then in my brain, it kind of skewed my whole reality there for a few days. But all the love in the game. It was like super fun. I had a great time. I'm hoping to work more with that band this year, but we'll see. Yeah, basically the same stuff as always.
Nice. So the tour thing was probably the big change up. When you were doing the tour stuff, like how, I guess you were editing stuff for them to post immediately after? Like what was kind of that schedule like?
And obviously I tell these when other people and other videographers and photographers ask me on Instagram and stuff, it's going to go by like your agreement with the artist. This specific artist, they consistently would post every morning, and so they wanted content from the show the night before for that post. So I was doing a reel and a small amount of edited photos ready for them to post as they wanted every morning in that morning post. They were your regular shows, so they were starting at like 8-9 p.m. And most of them had an opener, so they weren't going into all hours of the morning like some of the regular gigs I do, but they were late. And then, I had to get back to wherever I was staying. Editing photos isn't difficult, but taking a few hundred photos or a couple hundred photos and then picking 7 to 10 to edit and send, that's what kind of takes the time. And then I would say I'm pretty quick at making recap videos, but it's still the time that it takes to go through and kind of pick what you're going to use, way more time than it takes to actually like edit it together. So you kind of learn to be selective about what you're shooting.
So you don't like overshoot?
Yeah, which is my downfall. I always overshoot. But yeah, I had to turn around pretty quick and then get to the next venue. But I don't mind.
You can kind of treat it like a game. Like, okay, here we go. Let's see if show's ended. Let me get back to the place, get the files off of the card, find the good stuff.
Yeah. Kind of. Okay, it's a new year. Do you have any goals for 2025?
Goals for 2025. Ever since picking up the studio, which is I've been in here for about 6 months.
Dang, has it been 6 months
It's
already?
been 6 months, yeah. Almost 7. It's kind of changed my whole mindset to what I do for a living. My goal now is to make this as awesome as I possibly can. Like that really, it sounds like a cop out of a thing. Is that me?
No, it's mine, sorry.
Yeah. It sounds like my goal is to make this
Like as prolific.
yeah, it's kind of like a staple in the creative community. I'm learning stuff that I never thought I would learn and trying to implement it into this space. It's not a solid, not like a straight up, like, oh, I want to make a lot of money. No, I want this to be successful, but I want it to have purpose. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of my goal for 2025.
All right. So last year you acquired the studio, and this year you're trying to make it into something bigger than just a studio.
Yeah. And I feel like we're on the right track. Like having the class was an eye opener because that's something that I was just like, let me try this and see what happens.
I just want to say, told you so.
What?
Told you so on the class. I told you should do a class.
Well,
I told you should do many classes.
okay.
I just want to say that was my idea, and you executed it flawlessly. However,
Oh my God.
you're welcome.
Anything else? Anything else you want?
That's all I need to say about that.
Okay. All right.
I do think the class was a great idea. I'm so glad that you did it. I think it accomplished exactly everything that you wanted it to, we wanted it to, and it was just like the perfect first step. Like
it definitely helped me because I needed to get kicked off the ledge of teaching. I was afraid, and I'm sure that you'll disagree with me, but I was afraid I was going to talk in circles and repeat myself. And I never do stuff like that.
I think that's a valid fear. But you wrote, like, you made your little outline, and like
Tracy wouldn't let me do that. So Tracy's like, you need to like write out a thing.
Good for her.
And I knew I did. I knew I was like, okay, I had to do that.
That was a perfect move.
And I don't know, like the last time I was in front of people talking about something, I was like in college, and I hated doing it. I hated doing that. But the difference is I'm talking about something that I'm passionate about here. Mm-hmm. And so it's not that big of a deal. But that was.
But sometimes when you're talking about stuff you're passionate about, it's worse.
Really?
Like, because you start talking like so fast, and I feel like, for me at least, my brain will kind of lose track about where I'm going, or it'll get ahead of me of what I'm actually saying, and then I lose track and repeat myself.
Well, okay, let's say hypothetically you had to teach a class. What would you do to if you had to do that? Would you go out there and like practice like once or twice and then be like, okay, I'm ready?
No, I wouldn't practice because I'm a procrastinator, and I would be doing other things. But I would make an outline so that I didn't forget, because that would be I would go off on a tangent on one thing and then forget the next two things I had planned to talk about. So I would definitely do the outline. I think the outline was a great idea. And you only really had to look at it one time. I think you remember you looking at it once.
Yeah. It's I wrote down the key points that was for the whole lighting class, which I still haven't memorized. It was like control the light and use the grid and get your subject off of the white, like that. Yeah. And that was
key points that you didn't share with the class.
Okay.
And then quizzed us about after.
No, I said them multiple times. But
you didn't say them as like, you didn't mention them as key points.
Oh, I didn't label them correctly.
Like, yeah. It was like you
gotcha.
You went down the thing, so they were key points in your brain, but you didn't say
in my head it's like
this thing and then like, this thing.
Control the light.
Yeah. And then you asked us what the three key points were, and we're all like,
color background.
Yeah, people were doing good.
Yeah.
Like they were doing good, kind of repeating back generally what you were like talking about, but they couldn't get nobody knew the exact
what I was
things you were looking for. Yeah,
I'll get better at it.
You were looking for verbiage you didn't even use.
Yeah, well, people, a little mind reading.
Yeah, we'll all improve on the mind reading.
Yeah, y'all got to get a little bit better at that.
That was on us, really. Actually,
but I think we're gonna do more stuff like that. I think we're gonna get more people to come in here and teach that are better at lighting than I am, and especially like off-camera flash or fashion, or one of the ideas I was kind of like playing around with was unique music video looks. I think I did like a little poll. I think you voted for that one.
Yes, I did.
Because that's something that I think I'm pretty good at, and they're very useful in the sense of music videos, but for everything else, too artsy. I feel like
Artsy fartsy.
Yeah. And then what's your goals for 2025?
I want to run a marathon.
Oh,
That's what I'm working
yeah,
on.
you've been working on this.
Yes.
So why how did you get into want to do this?
Well, it's just one of those things. I mean, I've always like thought about like being a person who can say they ran a marathon. It's only like 1% of the population or whatever can say that they've completed a marathon. So I just wanted to do it, and I feel like I'm getting to the age, and anybody older than me can go somewhere. But I feel like I need to do it now, or I'm kind of losing. I'm getting past the time where it would be feasible for me to do it. Not saying that there aren't people who older than me who do it, but I'm not I haven't always been a runner. Like I ran growing up. I played multiple sports. I ran track and field. That was fine, but then I didn't run again for like 15 years. So I was like, all right, I'm going to run a marathon because I'm running out of time where I'd be able to do it. And I knew that I kind of wanted to make a goal for this year, or a resolution for this year, that was health related. And I knew that if I made the goal now and I picked one for like later in the year, if I had plenty of time, I could 100% do it. And it would kind of turn into a healthy habit. Like maybe running a few times a week would become normal for me after all of the time I would be spending preparing. So I have registered for a marathon in October of this year, and I've registered for a half marathon in May. So I will be running both, and I'm excited.
So how do you feel? Like because you've been running for a little while now. Do you sleep better? Do you feel you sleep better at night? Do you do all the can you tell a difference since starting to run?
Sleep, not different. And that's not, I don't think that's because of the running isn't working or whatever. I've always had a little issue with proper sleep. I'm hungry all the time. So I really have to run to keep up with how hungry I am. But then I have seen a huge improvement in my mood. It has helped with that. And even just kind of like holding myself accountable. Because there was a week I totally missed where I didn't do any of the running, and I was like, dang, I was in this slump. But then the next week I got myself to get back to it. And I think that even then I felt like proud of myself. I feel accomplished when I complete these runs, and when I see improvement, like when I run faster, even though I feel like I'm doing all these like slow runs all the time, and then I'll do one where I'm actually just like free and just like free running it and not doing a specific pace by my program, and it'll be faster. It's like every time I do that, the time is better, and I'm like, oh, okay, so I am getting cooler. Okay, like cool, like, or every time I do a run that's like longer than any other run I've done, I'm like, oh, like I did last week was my 7-mile run, which is the first time I've done 7 miles, which is halfway to my half marathon. And while I didn't do it, I'm not like the fastest runner ever, but I finished.
Yeah.
I finished, and I was really like proud of myself for finishing. And that's really all I'm looking for out of it, is just to finish. Yeah, whatever comes with that will be great. I'm trying to do it healthily, not injure myself, but complete it and be someone who has ran a marathon.
Well, you picked the worst time to be a runner with the weather, because I know some of those times that you've posted, because you like post every day that you run. I was like, if that was me, there's no way that I would have ran.
Yeah, this was the first time, really, since I've lived in North Carolina, it's been almost 8 years, that there's been legitimate snow. It was a few inches that like stuck on the ground, and it's been pretty cold, like 20s. But I've been, the coldest I've ran in, I think, was right around 30 degrees, which is pretty cold. And it's been windy too during that. So yeah, it's been a battle on some of these days that I'm running, but, it's been cool. I've met a couple people since I started training for it. Excuse me. I met a couple people since I started training for it, which is nice. None of my friends are runners, so while some people might be like, "Oh, like that sucks, nobody runs with you," Sure, it might, except for that every single one of them is thoroughly impressed about no matter what it is or how slow I'm doing it. They're so proud of me for running because none of them run. So all I have to do is just like finish it, and they think it's the greatest thing in the world.
Good for you.
Yeah. Thanks.
We're all proud of you, Sam.
Thank you. Yes.
You're welcome.
I think it's about that time for Song of the Week.
Song of the Week.
Song of the Week. You go first.
My song of the you can hear the My song of the week is a classic. It's Van Halen, Ain't Talking About Love. You know that one?
Probably. Off the top of my head, I don't. Sing it.
No. And because you know, like when you hear a song, you're like, I want to do something video wise.
Yes, we talk about this. I have that all the time.
Yes, it's a song that has been kind of used as like a meme video, like tough hype up part, and you'll probably recognize the riff. But here, let me pull this up real quick. Exactly. So you've heard this one, right?
Yeah.
Let's get to the first verse, and then I'll cut it.
Copyright.
Oh.
Where did it go?
I don't know.
Your phone heard me say copyright and was like, we're done.
All right, Sam.
Ooh, my song of the week is by Ol 60, and we're gonna do honestly every Ol 60 every Ol 60 song is a good one, but I'm gonna pick Next to You because it was on my Spotify Wrapped. Speaking of that again, this year because I love it that much. So good. I got to see them live last year, actually, them and Fox and Veed in Texas, and it was great. Fantastic show. Both bands, amazing.
Any particular reason for that song, or just?
It's just great. I just love it. It's probably the most love song I'll ever love this much.
Well, that was a tongue twister. But wow, a love song from Sam.
You won't get very many. Although I think half of the songs I've said for Song of the Week have been ironically love songs. And I think every time I say, this is the only love song.
Yeah, I never do this.
Never. I hate love songs. Ugh.
Lies. Well, that'll do it for this episode, huh? All right, are we done?
Okay, bye.
Don't put that shit in the podcast.